Past of oneself is a jerk in some cases. Now, when I say that, I bet you guys are thinking one of two things. A, that's a weird way to open an episode. And B, what does he mean by that? Well, really what I mean by the past of oneself is a jerk in some cases is you have good moments in your past and you have bad moments in your past. In a way, it's kind of like a hill. You climb up, then you go down. And the hill just repeats. Now stay with me and find out more about this metaphor on today's episode of What If This Was It? Episode 2, Wants, Wishes, and Regrets. Alright, before I dive too deep into this, I just want to say thank you for coming back today for my returning viewers. And if you are new, welcome to my podcast, What If This Was It? I encourage you, if you haven't already, to please subscribe, like, comment if you enjoy this, and go join our other social media accounts. Me and my team are working hard to give you all awesome content, and with your support, that is what we'll continue to do. And again, once again, thank you to my team, Tempest, Frostbite, and Server Bomb for all your work. Can't do it without y'all. Last thing that I will say before I dive deep into this episode is today is going to be a little different than Prologue. A, because this is like the first big kahuna, as I called it. And B, because during Prologue I had a script of specific things that I wanted to talk about. But this is more of me rambling on. So if I could ask a huge favor of you guys is to let me know what you think. Did the rambling on sound good? Alright then, let's hop back into the subject. So, if you haven't heard my metaphor the last 2 times I said it, I'll say it again. The past of oneself is a jerk in some cases. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's just really start by saying I'm just a dude, right? I'm not anything righteous or special or anything like that. I am just a guy. And with that, I've had my own repeating hill. Several ups and several downs on my path. And some downs were kind of my fault, right? So I guess I'll start with a little story. During the COVID years, how do I say this? Virtual year just kind of came easy to me because the deadlines were a little more relaxed, right? It's like you can turn this assignment in Monday, but if you turn it in a little later, and there's no problem with that. Like, that wouldn't really affect your grade at all. And the thing about that is I let that mindset get to my head, the virtual mindset, and it definitely affected my path in high school. When I started freshman year, there was work in different classes where I just wouldn't turn it in on time, turn it in late. I would just fall behind a lot. And I would love to sit here and say that it wasn't my fault or I just had a lot going on. But on the other hand, I didn't really. Everyone has a lot going on in school. You have people taking AP government and other classes all at once, and they're still able to get stuff done on time. I wasn't. Luckily, though, I did work required to pass freshman year. Now, on to sophomore year. More of the same thing. I am a huge procrastinator. Huge. I'll say I do stuff, I add a lot to my plate, and then I just put stuff off until last minute, and it causes all kinds of unneeded stress. So back to the story, sophomore year was a lot of the same in my classes. For instance, US history, I would procrastinate some, regrettably. My teacher was super cool about it though. I worked with him and I still got the work done. It wasn't a matter of getting the work done, it was a matter of not getting it done to my fullest potential. And that kind of dented my grades. Yeah, there was US history and other classes as well. Chemistry, I would be behind on stuff. God, chemistry. Let me back up and explain a little bit. Chemistry, was a stressful time for me because one of 2 reasons. A, I'm definitely not a STEM person either. I suck at math. Science doesn't really come naturally to me, whether it be physics or chemistry. And the other reason would be my procrastination. I would put stuff off and I'd do other things. Stuff that I wanted to do instead of the stuff I needed to do to pass my class. Therefore, that got me 2 Bs. Somehow I made it, but yeah, not really living up to my fullest potential there either. Then we go on to junior year. Definitely more of the same of procrastination. I took harder classes for sure. That was my first year of taking AP classes. I was taking AP Capstone Seminar, AP Computer Science, and AP Lang. And lo and behold, more of the same thing. Procrastinating, not getting stuff done. All this unneeded stress. Should I have chosen to get that stuff done, I probably would have had a better junior year. AP Lang, straight B's the whole entire time. AP Seminar, B, 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 then a C. Still got a final grade of a B, but then Honors Algebra 2. Honors Algebra 2. Sucked at that class because math did not come easy to me. Like I said before, not a good math person at all. I'm crappy at it. I will not hesitate to admit that. Math is not my thing. But that doesn't excuse how my grades ended up, too, because I would also turn in work late there as well, or wait till the last minute to do things. And lo and behold, I would stay up till midnight getting math stuff done instead of doing it overtime, knocking it out, making my life a whole lot easier. And then the AP projects were a big thing. They were due like sometime in April. I think that's because seniors were in that class or something like that. But both the AP projects that I had to do, again, waited till the last day, literally the last minute to finish it up. The AP projects closed at 11:59 that night. Probably turned stuff in at 11:40, maybe 11:50. But that being said, still the same thing, not living up to my fullest potential that I could have in academics. I chose to do other things, focus a lot more on my passions, which, don't get me wrong, passions are a good thing, and I'll cover a lot about passions in a later episode. But I focused less on academics and the stuff I needed to do to succeed. I really scraped by there. I wound up getting a D in Algebra 2 for my final grade. Everything else were B's. I only think I got 1 A in one class, but other than that, I scraped by. And now we're here, on to senior year. And I'm still going through it, so I don't really have too much to say on senior year yet, because I haven't finished it. But procrastination is definitely still an issue for me. I'm taking AP Psychology for the first quarter, and I definitely did not turn work in when I was supposed to. I definitely waited till the last minute of first quarter to turn some things in. Still got them in, but wound up scraping by with a 79 when I would have turned the work in sooner, I would have gotten a better grade. Needless to say, same thing for other classes as well. AP Research, hugely beneficial class because you're learning how to do research at a college level. And right now we were working on IRBs. We should have, and I mean should have, turned in IRBs before break to leave you at a good spot once you came back from the winter break to just go from there. Needless to say, I did not. And I definitely felt the stress of it when I came back from break to get that done and get in a good place. I did get that done before I came on here today, but still, procrastination is a huge issue for me. Now, the question is, though, why am I talking about procrastination? Is this episode about procrastination? No, it's called Wants, Wishes, and Regret. I regret so much how I chose to handle work in high school, how I chose to procrastinate and put stuff off to the last minute. I mean, I like my GPA, my transcript, but I bet you if I didn't procrastinate, it would have looked a whole lot better. But no, I chose to procrastinate, and I regret that a lot. I wish I would have done stuff differently. And I want to change that. Get it? Wants, wishes, and regrets. You're gonna come across a lot of stuff in life. You're gonna handle some certain situations where you might come to regret it eventually. You might come to wish that you could have done it differently, or you want to not be that person anymore. Needless to say, that's where I'm at. I wish I could have handled a lot of stuff differently. Example A, work in high school. Another example is how I handled talking to certain people. How am I wording this? Interactions that I've had in the past, I wish could have gone differently. Meaning, I wish I kind of was in more control of my emotions. For instance, freshman year, I was a little more clueless. Sometimes I can still be a little clueless. But freshman year was definitely peak cluelessness for me. The group that I was a part of, if you all know me, JRTC, I wasn't really sure kind of like how to act. I wasn't really sure how to do certain things. And I kind of let that nervousness get to me, or the angst kind of cloud my judgment. And needless to say, I made a couple oopsies. Yeah, it was a little messy on how I handled stuff, because I handled it with stress and angst instead of with a calm mind when it came to talking to people, or I don't even know. And then one more example is in JRTC, or this actually goes life in general. If you want to get better physically, what do you got to do? You got to work out. You can't be in gym class or any exercising classes in school. You actually got to get out there, go to the gym, go on a run, do stuff like that. Freshman year, I did not. And I kind of wound up feeling a little more miserable every time I didn't exercise. Exercise was a key thing in order to better myself, both physically and mentally. And it definitely messed me up a bit. I did not reach my potential there either. But you guys kind of get what I'm saying? There's a lot of times where I didn't reach my potential. Moments where I wish that I could have, that I regret not doing. And that's life. I mean, there's no other way to put it than that's life. You are going to have your regrets. You are going to have things that you wish you've done differently. People you wish you had different interactions with. Stuff that you want to change. And the want to change thing is where I'm headed to next. Because if you want to change it, then you gotta work to change it. And it's funny how that kind of ties into something I was talking about in my prologue when it comes to working for your goals. You gotta take certain steps to change certain bad habits or stuff that you wish you could have done differently. Because past is past, right? Unfortunately, you can't go time travel back and fix the mistakes that you've made. Mistakes are something that stays with you. It's not a bad thing as long as you learn from those mistakes. I'm talking like you threw up on the floor and you didn't even bother to clean it and someone slipped in it. It sucks. Don't get me wrong. Stuff like that, when it happens, sucks a lot. You can't really change it. But what you can do is you can have a moment, be like, okay, what I did was wrong. I should have cleaned up the throw up, or I should have told someone, or I should have been better about my work in high school. Stuff like that. You gotta take that, you gotta want and work to change. And that's the only way how change can happen. That's the only way you can feel even remotely better about your wishes or your regrets about the past. Work for the change. That's how you get it. And it goes for a lot of different things too. Not even the minute stuff I was talking about when it comes to example A, high school work, talking to people in a certain way. It can go for a lot of deep and darker stuff too. You gotta work for the change. And it's hard to do, right? At this point, I've been so used to procrastination, forgetting about work, stuff like that. that it's still something I struggle with to this day. But it's no excuse. If I want to change, I gotta make the change. I gotta take the steps necessary to do the change. And it might be a multiple step process too. If you're going into a deep habit, something like addiction, it's gonna take a lot of time. So that goes into my next thing. Patience. You need patience. Because, trust me, if you're anything like me, you're gonna get mad if you wind up doing a bad habit, like procrastination, again and again. And you're gonna get mad at yourself. Procrastination is just an example, mind you. You're gonna get mad at like the process or steps you're taking to make the change. And you're gonna be like, this isn't working. Or yell something like that. But you gotta be patient, right? You gotta be patient with yourself. And be patient with the process. Going back to that hill. Lots of ups and lots of downs, right? There can be a big hill path of your life in general. All the mistakes you made. But then there can also be like mini hill paths in between. Steps you're taking to fix an issue, like your procrastination, or an addiction you have to drugs, anything like that. Because when something becomes so deep in your mind, it's hard to make that change. And you're going to have ups and downs in the process of making that change too. Because the bottom line is nobody's perfect, right? You're gonna trip, you're gonna stumble, you're gonna fall. And that's really just life. It's a sucky thing, it is, for sure. But what can you do? And the most important thing that you can do is not make that mistake again. But even if you do somehow make a mistake again, like fall back into addiction or something like that, the want to change can carry you far. The want to make some sort of an improvement somewhere in some way can carry you even farther than not caring about what you do at all. So that's the biggest takeaway from this is you're gonna have wishes, you're going to have regrets, but you're gonna also have wants. You're gonna have a want to make the change and therefore work for the change. Don't procrastinate. See what I did there? To make the change. Get up and make that change. I'm sorry for saying change a lot, but I guess that's the really big theme about today's topic, about today's thing, is want and work for a change. No matter what that might be, to help better you, better your life in general. Want and work for that change. So with the time left, I'm gonna end with another personal story. Last year, let's just say I how do I put this? Challenged myself a little more mentally, and it caused me to handle stuff in a certain way, which I wish I didn't. Kinda wish I was, stronger. I handled stuff in a way which I could have handled it better. Could have thought a little more. I could have thought a little more into what I was doing before I did that. Needless to say, after that year, summertime was much needed. It gave me a lot of time to reflect. It gave me a lot of time to realize, hey, this isn't a thing you want to do. I'll explain this thing a little more down the road. Not to just leave it in a suspense for right now, but I don't really want to keep you guys longer than I already have with me rambling. But basically, I had that time to reflect and realize that I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be smarter. Needless to say, I worked to find different ways to handle different situations, similar to what I handled in junior year. And it took a long time. I couldn't have done it without a lot of certain people to help me. And that's the last thing that I officially wanted to say along with, working for the change. Have people with you to help you navigate the change. Have people keep you accountable when it comes to certain issues like procrastination. People that you can truly rely on to be that rock for you when you need it. Alright, so that really covers what I wanted to talk about with wants, wishes, regrets. Thank you for sticking with me. If you liked it, please remember to subscribe, share as much as possible so we can continue growing the What If This Was It community. Aside from that, please also be sure to follow my Instagram if if you haven't. And also go check out my Discord if you want to feature on a future episode of What If This Was It. Go find that link in my description and follow that. A little sneak peek into next episode before I hop off. It's called Alternate Realities, and I'm super excited for it because I get to have my first guest on this show. And again, like I said at the beginning, my team and I are working hard to give you a lot of more awesome content and more awesome things in general to come. So thanks for watching today. I hope you found this helpful, and yeah, please let me know what you think. This is Bailey, signing off, and I will see you next time. Bye.